Hi.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Can you hear me? Can you
Absolutely.
hear me?
Loud
Yeah,
and
okay,
clear.
cool.
It's fine.
Okay. No, because it's just a massive storm started here.
Is
It's like, oh
it?
my God. Yes.
Seriously?
Just a massive thunderstorm.
I'm not sure if it's here in Barcelona, it's like there's a heat wave. It's really, really boiling hot.
Yeah, we had the same the whole week, which is not very common here. And that's why now it's falling. The skies are falling,
Well, okay,
which
cool.
is
Well, but
nice.
it's Friday, so after a long working week, it's okay, right?
It's
It's some
indeed.
rain just to chill out,
I
right?
like
And
the rain. I like the
to
rain. It
cool the air.
has been
All
very
right,
warm.
so nice.
Yes.
How was your week? Did you have a good week?
Very good. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm going to France next week for a conference on kids media.
Hmm.
Well, it's on media in general, like on news and so on. It's for the news association. So I had a lot to prepare and a lot to have done. So it was a good week,
So
but
you were
very,
busy. You were
very
busy.
productive.
Nice. So I'm just going to give a very short
Yeah,
introduction on who you are, just quick headlines, and then you can just introduce yourself, as in how would you describe yourself
yeah.
beyond
I
your
have
professional title. So today we are interviewing Lulu Mazzocco, right?
Skantze.
You're yes,
Yes.
Skantze. So you're an international creative director, right? You're an editor, you're an entrepreneur, you have a lot of experience in children's publishing, right? And just creating content development. You're also one of the founders of Storytime magazine, right? Which is an international acclaimed children's magazine dedicated to promoting reading, imagination, creativity through engaging stories, right? Myths, activities, and very beautiful illustrated content. Yeah. And well, I would say that one of your strongest qualities is your commitment to education and community building, especially focus on children. So that's what I would like describe. It's like a general description of really, really very short, accurate headline on who you are, an introduction on who you are. So straight to the point, Lulu, how would you describe yourself?
I think the thing that I always use to describe myself is that I'm someone very, very curious. I've always been curious since I'm a child. I'm curious about people, about ideas, about stories. I loved learning. I loved going to school. But I was also curious about the world around me. I used to have notebooks of places I want to visit, foods I wanted to try. Everything that I've learned made me more curious. And also I'm the oldest daughter, so I think I also always had a sense of responsibility. So I, from a very young age, I wanted to do work that mattered. I wanted to always finish what I started. I wanted to build something. I always took a lot of responsibility uh, on anything that I did. So I think curious and responsible or committed is something that two qualities that I always think of myself as.
You mentioned your childhood. So, how much from your childhood, right, how much of your is responsible for who you are in the present?
My God, so much. It's like I would say almost 100%, to be honest. And sometimes I think I'm cheating because I almost do the work that I already did as a child, because my childhood was really full of stories. I read a lot. I cut out magazines to create my own stories. I did a lot of drawing and writing, and so it was a very creative childhood. And in a way, I think books were very comforting. Were very They were how I found answers to everything. So in growing up with stories, I learned to observe life, and I learned to pay attention to the world around me. So creativity has always been my language. It's always been the way I learned and did everything. I could not imagine to have a life where creativity was not at the center of it.
Mhm. And when did you realize that you wanted to dedicate your career, your life to creating stories and content, and specifically on what you're doing right now?
It was a gradual thing, because I guess we have that we are taught that we should grow up and do some serious job somehow. So when I went to university, I actually did I was doing 2 degrees at the same time. I was doing media, and I was also studying to be a lawyer. And I did that for a while, but I kept being pulled towards storytelling. So I ended up quitting my law degree halfway through, and started working in advertising as a storyteller, really, because advertising is a form of storytelling. And the more I worked creating stories, the more then I ended up moving into publishing. And then I really remember feeling, wow, why haven't I done that always? But I every time I had to make a choice, I always ended up going towards media and stories and publishing and so on. So it was gradual, but it was a full circle.
Yeah, super curious you were mentioning. It's like sometimes you've got it just in front of you, but you just don't see it, right?
Yes,
It's like it's super clear, probably on external eyes, it's like really clear. It's like you're good at this, right? Just
yes,
move forward, just get on that. And but just ourselves, to oneself still don't see it until one day it's like super clear and you think it's like, why didn't I just thought about it before?
but I think it's because we are told that certain things are things that you must do. And I mean, it's a little bit, I always say that the idea of success, we buy the idea of what success is very early on. And then we are following something that we haven't ever questioned if that's what a successful life looks like. So we go for careers that we are told that you were meant to do because that's grown up, and we never really consider things that. And I've read once on, I think it was someone that was a coach or a psychologist, that told me that if you want to really find a job you love, you should look for the things that really gave you pleasure in childhood.
Mhm.
That the answers
That's
usually
so
lies in
nice.
childhood. And if you find like people, there are some amazing doctors that they already like those subjects and play value of things related to their jobs, but we don't often look into childhood as we should.
Yeah, and probably one of our present failures is like we don't take children's children's childhood and childhoods in general too serious. Okay?
Absolutely.
And it's just like this is a child's game, right? This is you're just a child. I mean, you don't understand. You will get it when you grow older, right? And probably because we take ourselves as adults too seriously,
Exactly.
we are failing. Okay,
Yes.
because it's like children, they are the key to many of the things happening in the present and happening to us as adults.
Yes. And they don't have the filters as well, because we apply a lot of filters, what we should think, what we should do. Children do not. They use the instinct more than we do. And that's why I think sometimes they hold better answers.
And probably passion as well, right? They
Yes.
are very passionate, instinct, they
Yeah.
are all full
Instinctive.
instinct, all
Yeah.
in, right? It's just like
Yes.
the future is not important for them because it's like it's not even a thing when you're a
Yes.
child. You're just all present. But it's true that when you were mentioning, right, and when it answered you using the word childhood, but again, I think your job is on your work is really important because you are considering a really huge part of who we are that we mostly, when we are adults, silent,
Yes.
right? We silence it and it's just there. It's in the past. But we are who we are because of who we were.
Exactly. Well, that's a good sentence. We are who we are because of who we were. And I think that's why it's so important also to nurture childhood, to make sure that children have stories, have experience, have play. The playing in childhood is something also that we've taken it away a lot with modern technology and all these fears of not letting kids go outside and play. I mean, I read the other day some stats of how much less children play outside these days,
Mhm.
and those things are huge losses, I think,
Yeah,
for childhood.
absolutely. We mentioned like your change of heart regarding studying law. Um, has there been any moment when you doubted yourself during this process? Like, from starting studying, just like falling through and then just changing your mind? Do you still doubt yourself?
I think I don't doubt myself as much, but yes, I have had huge doubts all along the way. I don't think if you are really honest in life, but in your career and anything you set up to do, doubt is a big part of the process. I really do take some time every year to step out and look at the things I'm doing, what I'm not doing right and wrong, and then I know the whole recalculating happens a lot, but I think it's a very natural part of the process, because if you don't doubt, if you don't question, and if you know everything, then you are doing something wrong. If you feel completely sure you are doing something wrong, someone once told me nobody would be an entrepreneur if they knew everything before they started, because it's so unexpected what comes to happen. I mean, when I think I was talking to someone the other day, the last 4 years, there has been so many unexpected things, like lockdown, all these wars, and
Of
like in
course.
terms of business, we do a lot of planning, but every year there's been a massive unexpected world event that affect the business and the decisions we had made or planned. So there is never any certainty. You have to really operate with uncertainty, and I think that's equally beautiful, because it's there is a trust there. You have to trust yourself and trust your vision or your calling, and know that you're going to find a solution. But I don't think that it's possible to do it without the doubt being always with you. But
Absolutely,
I
I
don't doubt
totally
myself
agree.
as a person, because I learned to trust that I will be able to solve anything, and I will be able to find resource. I mean, I'm very resourceful from that. And of course, I've learned a lot. I've been in business for over 20 years, so nowadays I really trust myself. But I doubt. Yeah, I have my moments of doubts about how to do it.
Yeah, as an entrepreneur myself as well, it's just like you need, as you mentioned, and I think it's crucial, you need to feel comfort in uncomfort, and in uncomfort, right? It's like you need to feel that you can just walk in muddy waters, as in, and try to feel as much comfortable as you can, because many times it's really difficult. Um,
Yes.
Again, because you deal with a lot of people, a lot of partners, different energies.
Yes.
So it's so important to, as you mentioned, adapt yourself and being resourceful. I think again, this is a very crucial word, right?
Yes.
Any resources you can just be in a hand's reach, right?
And as humans, we are incredibly resourceful, and I think there's a quality that if I could teach anyone something, like if I were to say what is one quality that I think is the most important in life, is resourcefulness, because we are, as humans, we always have ways to change our minds, to change. So physically, we can do so much that we don't know. And I think in moments of difficulty, you realize how much you can do. But I think we have sort of not been so good at teaching resourcefulness to the younger generation.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
and I think that's quite useful in business. I don't think I would have survived without that quality, actually.
And also, probably I would add as well that you need to be able to ask for help. We are teaching nowadays, there's this tendency to just like having superpowers. You have to be like really powerful, just do everything on your own, very individually. But I think that's not what how it should be, because you really need help most of the time, and you need somebody else's input, somebody else's ideas, even somebody else's sometimes investments.
Absolutely. And I think that's something women are not very good at. We do it a lot less than men, I find. It took me years to ask for help. For example, I was indeed one of these people that thought I have to do it without asking. I mean, I'm very lucky that I have a business partner, and I have to say, it's much nicer to run a business with a business partner because we really complement each other. We work really well together, and it's been amazing. But yes, as you said, all this extra help, or funding, or even like a bigger help into a wider network, the moment I started asking for help, you realize that everybody's willing to help and everybody's willing to join. And I was like, why didn't I ask before? It's crazy how much I've done without asking. And nowadays I would have done it much sooner if I knew then what I know now.
You mentioned womenpreneur, I mean, women as entrepreneurs. What has been your experience as a woman leading creative projects internationally? I mean, probably like personally first, and then maybe internationally, because I probably it's a different approach, right? When you do it like more individually, more locally, and then when you expand it internationally, probably the approach is different.
Yes, I think in general, being a woman in business, it's never easy to start with. I always had that feeling that the closer you get to the top, the more lonely it is because there are less and less women in the room.
Hmm.
So it's I've been to a lot of meetings where I was the only one, and therefore it's not so easy to be heard because yeah, because it's just like a different language. So there was a lot of language learning, I think, in that sense, like to talk business. I think things have changed a lot. For example, when I started in business, also I didn't have a lot of mentors because there were not many women that were my bosses, and if there was just one. Nowadays there are many more of us, so I always try, for example, to mentor younger women and help them to, and there are many more of us connecting and helping because I got some amazing opportunities through other female entrepreneurs that I've met in my career. And I think that that sort of support is very important. We should support each other. We should show how it's done. We should lead the way. We should make space at the table for each other because in a way men have always done that to each other. And I think it is important that someone invites you in, and once you get invited in, you started to learn about it. So that was a very long process for me. I think women can be very good leaders because they are good listeners, they are very resourceful, they care a lot. I think we really care about it. Everybody, we are used to taking care of people. So in a company, I think a lot of female leaders, they bring that sort of a lot of initiatives that make the culture more inclusive, because that's how we think generally. But of course it's not every woman, and not, it's not just a gender thing. Internationally has been there is that extra bit where you need to become quite confident as a person to do it internationally, because you have the accent, you have the no network, like you don't know anyone when you go into new countries, and you have to almost build an identity. And in that scenario, I found that authenticity really matters. I had to really first become really comfortable with who I was and know that my ideas matter, to have the courage. So I remember the first time I was invited to speak on an event in the UK. I was so aware. I was like, oh my God, what about my accent? Will people understand me? And even though I was living there for 20 years, and I took some lessons, speaking lessons. And then my coach said, you know it's your personality that needs to come through what you are talking, not the accent. And then I started to really become more comfortable with speaking in public, and it went really well, and now I do it all the time. And I really grew into who I was because I could see that people were connecting with my ideas rather than all the things I was worried about. And now I feel extremely comfortable in very different space. And I work, my main area of work is in the UK, so all my colleagues are British, of course. And but I work on stages all over the world. I go a lot to Spain, Italy, I mean, I have three passports, so I feel very comfortable when I'm in Italy, when I'm in the UK, or when I'm in Brazil. But nowadays, I feel comfortable almost everywhere. And and if you had asked me maybe 5 years ago, I wouldn't be comfortable in any of those spaces because I felt like a foreigner in all of those spaces. And now I feel that I really belong to all of those spaces. So it was a really nice change.
Yeah, there are just a few things I would like to pick up from what you said. It's just like, um, as an English teacher, I always tell my students who are like really worried about accents that accents are beautiful. It's just like that. An accent is something beautiful. It's part of who you are and where you're from. So you shouldn't feel ashamed about it. On the contrary, you should encourage it because it's not the tone, or it's not about the accent you used to say it. It's like how you say it and what you say. What really, really matters is what you say,
Mm.
not if you have like this accent or that accent. I mean, the people who want to listen just really listen to you.
But you know what was a nice thing there? What helped me to realize that was also when I have, because I love the British accent. I always wanted to have a perfect British accent. But when I've listened to people that I really admire, like writers and yeah, like you watch a talk, you go to a conference, and then you see someone that you really like, and you hear them talking, and you realize that they are very unique because they speak in a way that nobody else does. I that's sort of how it for me. Listening to other people's accents, I started to fall in love with them for how they spoke, and then I said, it's nice to be one of them. Nowadays, yes, I see very much what you said. It's but it was a process for me. It
Absolutely,
took
because we all have processes, and each one is unique, and each one it's like your own one,
yeah.
right? And in the path is really long. The walk ahead is like really long, and there are a lot of hurdles, and there are a lot of ups and downs, and as you mentioned before, it's just when you get to a certain probably a stability. It's never stable, but when you just look ahead and you look behind and you look ahead, it's like, okay, this is where I am. Maybe I just wasted a bit of time just doing that, and I shouldn't have, but you know it now.
Yeah,
So you cannot really judge yourself, your
absolutely.
past self from your past present.
but
So
but even like going back to how we stop ourselves, there is also another thing, and that goes back to female entrepreneurship, that women try to tone down a lot of the things that are female about us, like our passions or our sensitivity, our emotions,
and
because we have.
vulnerabilities also.
Yes, exactly.
Vulnerabilities are very strong sometimes. They give
Exactly.
you a lot of strength.
Absolutely. I mean, I love Brené Brown. I follow her work, and I think she talked about it a lot. But I remember also being aware, again, I'm being half Italian, half Brazilian. I'm very passionate, and I'm very lucky. If I against something, it's very clear that I disagree with it. And when I first started working, I remember getting a lot of feedback on that, like, that I should not be so transparent about my emotions. And in a way, it also came full circle because I think because I'm so passionate about the things I do, because I talk about all the things I care about, I also think that it's became my strength. A lot of the things I have achieved is because people really love to see that through my work. They see, and I don't hide those things anymore. I'm very lucky. I talk with my hands. I talk about the things I care. I feel annoyed or happy or excited without trying to measure it as much. And I think that confidence is quite nice. And I think women need to start to own those soft skills and be quite proud, because I think we need more emotion, we need more passion. We need people that truly care about what they're doing. I think the world
Yeah.
needs more people
And
like that.
less elbowing, right? It's like you
Exactly.
elbow people. You don't have to like keep elbowing. It's like you mentioned before, like men don't do that, because even if they are like individuals and they work individually as well, they have the same goal, right? So they just move as a unique group, right?
Yes.
As a close and compact group. But we as women, apart from the fact that we have probably more difficulties because we are women, we also tend to just not fight only ahead, forward, but also fight,
Sideways.
laterally.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
it's like very, very sad sometimes because it
Yes,
makes us weaker.
absolutely. But I think it's because we were taught that, and we are also taught that there was no space for all of us. So we have to, to sort of. I think that competitiveness was sort of it's not real, but we're taught that. So we are playing on a game that's not true, because when you think female friendships are amazing, like I have the most amazing friends in the world. We are so supportive, we're so engaged with each other, we are there for each other. If we apply the premises of female friendship to how we support each other in business and in life, I think it's one of the most incredible things. When you look how two female friends go through life, going through all the change and supporting each other, we are amazing friends, and I think we should channel that also as women in business.
Yeah. And you mentioned also women as trying to move ahead and row same direction. How do you keep your business network afloat? How do you maintain it? How did you, first of all, how did you achieve it? How did you make it? And how do you keep it?
The interesting thing is that that's another thing that I think I would have done differently if I started again, because in the beginning I didn't do as much networking. I thought just working very hard was enough. And I actually think networking is very important, because it goes back to what we were saying earlier. It's, if you need help, if you need to reach out, you need more people to support you. So networking means that you have more people with you on the whole journey, knowing you. And I think it's a nice place to go for advice, for connections, for opportunities. So a few years ago, i I thought conscientiously, I thought I need to do more networking. I need to reconnect with my colleagues I've lost touch with. I need to find a place in the industry where I can have the conversations that I'm not having, because I think the first 5 years of Storytime, I didn't do any networking. And I joined some of the organizations that were doing very good work in media, that I found interesting, their events and their conversations, and that offered all types of network support and things. And I joined it, and it has been the best decision I've ever made. The way I keep it is I keep it the same way I keep my friendships. I'm very, I take a good care of them. I remember people's birthdays, or if I see their successes, I always congratulate them, drop a message. If they need a favor, I'm always up for it. I think there is to maintain a healthy network, you need to keep in touch and sort of cheer them up as they will cheer you. I think that exchange is very important. You have to be generous, basic, and that generosity is a beautiful thing in if you are in the right network. Of course, I've been in groups that didn't happen, and I left them. But I nowadays I'm so proud of my network. I have some amazing people. I have mentors and cheerleaders and people that I have mentored that now are doing really well in their careers, but we have this long-term friendship, and and also in a lot of different countries and different space. So I think it's a bit of a giving and taking. Like you have to be available and generous with what you give, but I think you get a lot from networking with generosity.
Mm. You mentioned mentors, you mentioned inspiration from others. Can you name like a few people who like really, really help you along the way?
Yes, I've always been very lucky because even I had a couple of bosses in advertising very much in the beginning of my career. That one it's called Yuval Zomer. He was my boss in Germany in advertising, and he's now a children's illustrator, quite famous, has done quite well. But we worked in advertising. He gave me the opportunity in Germany, and he really guided me in a new country. And I remember when he was British, but when I moved back to London, he moved back there, and he invited me for dinner, and he asked my plans. He gave me books. He really was very generous with his time. I've had uh, bosses that believed in me, and just by having that confidence of promoting me over the years, they showed that they knew that I had talent to go further. I had friends like who are like successful authors. Like I have a friend called Nika Bazis, is an art author and cartoonist, and he met me. I was 22. He was older than me, and he said that he could see I would go far. And over the years, every time I was in doubt, he would remind me of my talents, and being quite nice to have that support of someone that is quite creative and could see through my doubts. More recently, there are two people in the industry. There is someone called Nick Simpson. She was a person that invited me to talk for the first time on stage, who really made me lose that shy side of my personality. There is a journalist called Joanna Cummings. She wrote the first article about me at the same time of that event, and she really was so lovely in putting the spotlight on the things I was really passionate about. And more recently, I have a mentor, a business mentor called Nicola Murphy, and yeah, she just every time I go to her with a problem, she goes, "You can do it. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that?" She never lets me sit with the problem. She always pushes me to go and sort it out. So I
Mhm.
think I've been very lucky in all these different stages. I've always found people that encourage me, that didn't let me sit very long with the uncomfortable feeling.
You're mentioning external motivation, but what about your internal motivation? What keeps you motivated in times of difficulty?
I think the fact that I've really discovered the purpose of what I do. Like we've had now, it's been so long, like 12 years that Storytime exists. We have so many amazing feedback of kids that really, I believe literacy, imagination, uh, learning is life changing. So it's the thing I've always believed, that will change the world and make the world better. And by knowing that we are actually doing a work that's creating those possibilities, I really feel so aligned with the sense of purpose. So I very often, me and my business partner, we check on each other if you are still very motivated. And then we look at our stats and the feedback we have. And also we have a lot of data of these changes we have helped to promote of social impact. And we know that we are doing it for a reason. So I always go back to that. And also the fact I've never run out of ideas. I still have so many ideas of things to do with the business, that the fact that we don't manage to do them all, and we still have a massive list to tick, means that we are still very much invested in it.
Storytelling, I assume, because it's like storytelling, explaining stories, especially for children, right? Uh, they just really need a lot of creativity. Your team, because I assume it's just like
Yeah,
not a one person
yeah,
thing, not a two
yeah.
people thing. It's like your team. How is your team important and essential in your career, in your business?
You're right. Creativity is like a recipe, is a bit of everyone. Like you have to have a lot of ingredients in it. And I think conversations and I think because everybody goes to pick up references and ideas everywhere, and then we also come at it with different inputs. So I find it, I love the fact that when we do the editorial meeting and we're talking about what's going to be in the next issue, it's not that someone says, oh, let's make a story about this, and everybody agrees. Very often, everybody either understands it different, thinks different, or doesn't agree. And those conversations are what is where creativity lives, because we all then start to talk about, oh, we all thought about this different. Oh, this is interesting for me, but not for you. Why? How do you see? And I find it that, you know, stories are probably the oldest technology for learning empathy. That's how humanity started teaching just about everything. And we still learn so much from stories. And with our team is the same. We are always learning. Like every month, we are discovering something, and that's what I find so important, that we are still discovering, we are still having ideas, and we still don't know anything somehow. And that makes it very creative, that we are constantly challenging ourselves. We're constantly like, what if we research a bit more about this subject, and then when we go researching it, we find a new idea. So it's a constant.
Why children?
Because actually at the time we had other ideas, and I have done magazines for different age groups, and actually our most successful magazines before that, there were magazines about cooking, but at the time there were no story magazines for kids in the UK. A lot of the kids magazines were all about brands, TV and game brands, with plastic on the cover, and they didn't really have excellent content. And I really, at the time, I saw that gap, because I really thought, if we don't nurture childhood and kids with great content, if we don't give them the best content, we are going to have no future. And I really was thinking about not just the future of the world, that's quite a big thing to think, but I was also thinking about the industry. Like children need to discover that there are good magazines out there made for them, thinking about them, and so on. So it was originally was the idea of giving them excellent content like the one that I fell in love as a child, because there always have been great stories out there, but at the time there wasn't. And I do think nowadays we are even more, it's more important than it was 10 years ago. It was just about content, but nowadays there is so much more at stake. We have the mental health crisis, we have the social media crisis. You know, kids need help to disconnect, they need help to have some downtime and relax. They need help with the imagination, because we're losing so much of the thinking process with all these AI things. So I think now it became even more important than it was.
What were your you mentioned references? What were your references as a child?
Oh
I'm
my God.
curious.
I read, it's funny because I always had family all over the world. So I remember, for example, my uncle was living in the UK, and he brought me the Paddington books.
Oh, I love Paddington.
And I loved it. And I remember, like, I think one of the first places I ever went in London was Paddington Station, because it had such a big space in my childhood. Like I learned reading in English. I love the comics. Like I love the Calvin and Hobbes, for example, cartoons, and I love the Tintin. I also read like even magazines. Like they used to be magazines for kids that had all these mixed stories or classic stories. Like my grandmother had she was a teacher. Well, she had been a teacher, and she had some storybooks from Italy. And I remember the Snow Queen fairy tale. She had a really old version with this beautiful illustration that I think I read until it fell apart. I remember the pages falling apart. So but I actually even read grown-up stuff. Like I, my mom used to store books and magazines that we could play with, and I remember going through topics that were like that I didn't understand everything, but I could look at the pictures and cut them out and make posters with them. And so I think that sort of there were so many things that yeah, movies. I remember, you know, going to the cinema to see Bambi and crying at it, crying
Yeah.
in the cinema, like all those emotions, because that's the other thing that I love about working with stories, is that I always think that we are presenting kids to some things that we will experience for the first time. Everything is new to them. You know, they might see a lot of situations that they will encounter late in life, but they will encounter it for the first time in a story time. So I want to be very careful. I wanted to give them it very gently so they can experience that emotion with and develop some emotional literacy, because I think stories give us that. We learn to work with our own emotions by seeing it through a character. And then when it happens to us, we know we have the resilience to deal with them.
Mhm. I guess and I assume it's not only about entertainment, it's also about education. It's
Yes.
education, respect, equality, right?
But
It's
I
many more than just let's entertain kids. Let's keep kids entertained for a while.
but that's the thing. I think that's when we separated these two things, that's when we lost quality, because we started to do an entertainment that perhaps didn't have meaning. And we are not an educational magazine. Like we don't have, you know, we don't do it. We can be used in the classroom to start a lesson about a lot of subjects, but our content is exactly that: is to teach through stories, to teach through entertainment. But of course, they have a heart, they have a care in the content, the way we curate the content, that we think they can they can learn something from it. But you know, childhood is all about learning. You have the whole world ahead of you. Everything you do in childhood, you are learning. You are learning every day. I mean, I think that's why childhoods are so exciting, because every day it's so full of discoveries.
Yeah, and I would go a little bit further than that. It's just not only for them, it's just like for us humans. It's everything around us gives us a purpose, and it's for a purpose, and it's for a mostly an educational purpose. It's like we learn from experience, and then we should like be better from those experiences, and just exit better from those experiences, not only
And
when you're a kid.
And we do like it as well as grown-ups to read stories, and that's why we watch movies, and that's why we read a lot of magazines that have stories. Like when you read an interview with someone, I don't know, we read an interview with a business person, we are reading their story. This is what storytelling is, and we are learning how to, I don't know, how to start our own business through someone else's stories. And I think it's very important not to forget that there is a story in everything we do. And that's why I thought telling very good stories for children was a very good way to address a lot of the things that I think we were missing in the world.
Going back a bit to the more like business side of your career, um, what advice would you give to young women who just want to start and create something new? Um, what would you tell them? What advice would you tell them in an entrepreneurial way?
I would say don't underestimate consistency. I think the bigger things we build are rarely built in one moment or very fast. I think there is a lot of that idea out there of overnight success and things having to be fast. And I think uh, I always say that overnight success takes a long time, because the truth is it takes persistence, it takes care, it takes trying a lot of ways. And I think it's a lot messier behind the scenes than we see. In the beginning, I used to go to events with entrepreneurs and have watched some lectures where they were saying, oh, and then I opened the business and then I was having a hard time, and then suddenly I got an investment and I became a millionaire. And I remember thinking, how did it happen? What happened in the middle? we don't hear that middle, but that middle, it's really hard, it's really messy, and therefore that consistency of doing it again and again every day and putting the work in building something sustainable and something you believe in. I think it's quite we underestimate the time it takes, and I would say uh, don't look don't look like when you are climbing a mountain, don't look at the top of the mountain because it feels very far away, but look to all the bits you are climbing bit by bit, because it is like a mountain, it is a very long path, and you are getting further every time. But
Yeah,
if you are looking really and you're thinking, oh, I should, if you put really unrealistic deadlines, I should have made 1 million on year one, which a lot of the world seems to think is possible. I don't believe it's the case. And I think trust that what you are bringing to the world, that your idea, it's really good. Like trust the value you're bringing. I think a lot of times we don't we underestimate as well the quality of what we are doing, of our work. And I tell when I mentor a young woman in business, I always say, also go and learn, talk with people that have built business. Don't stop learning, because business is a craft. There are things there are things you can learn every day. I still learn so much, you're never done with learning how to run a business.
no, and most probably from in my case, I'm speaking from experience. Probably the situations I've learned the most, it's the one that imply failing. It's like when you fail, um, you can just even fall deeper, but there's also a huge chance that you just grow older
Yeah,
and grow stronger. And this is when you really learn. It's like, this is not something I'll do again. Right. So now this is off the table. I'll try not to make the same mistake again, although sometimes it's hard. But you learn more from hard things than easy things sometimes.
well, you don't learn from easy things, because sometimes it's just luck as well, the easy
Mm,
things. and
yeah.
and I think also, change fast. Like if you did something, if you failed or if you did a wrong decision, then revert it as quick as you can. Don't spend 3 months crying over it, or stuck on that situation. I always say that small business especially, they need to react fast to change. If you did a mistake, you need to change it straight away, rather than spending too much money or too much time on something, because that's where a lot of businesses die, because they make a deal that is 6 months paying the wrong fee, that's not working for them, etc., etc.
Mm. Yeah, and you mentioned quick reactions.
Yeah.
It's again, if you are motivated, if you really believe in you in your business, you must react quick,
Quick. Yeah, speed
even
is
if it
very important.
hurts, even if you're
Oh,
still
absolute,
hurting. You
absolute,
need to react quick.
absolute. Yeah.
And for me, and this is also part of what Coachability Foundation is, the concept of creativity. Okay, it's just like you need to be creative constantly,
Yes.
even for things that work. Even if it works, even if it is established, you need sometimes to flip it and turn it upside down. um,
Yes.
Maintaining the
Yes.
base, but you
Yes.
need to be creative, you need to
I,
be resourceful, and you need to be active,
because
constantly active. You cannot be
exactly,
passive.
exactly, because it doesn't exist such a thing as getting to the top. There is no top. Like once you get anywhere of business, you need to be going to the next level. So there is no you are finished, you are done, everything is sorted. It doesn't exist. And
No.
that's why you need to keep moving forward. You need to keep trying new things. You need to keep adding new bits to your business. You need to think about the next product or the next initiative. And I think, yes, I think it is the idea that you're gonna be done at some point, or that you can relax and stop thinking about it. I think those things are are things that kill businesses.
Mm. And also ambition. For me, ambition is not something that goes outwards. For me, ambition is something it's inwards, right? It's like being ambition. It's not something materialistic. You mentioned before, it's just like becoming a millionaire. For me, that's not ambition. For me, ambition is like fulfilling your own expectations.
But I think ambition and success, they're both words that you have to find your own definition for them, that we buy then from other people, because I think on the sort of the classic, if you talk to a lot of, the other day I was in a female entrepreneur event, and someone quite young asked, how do I get rich? Because for me, success is to get rich. And I thought, we are taught that success is only financial, like unless you are rich, you are not successful. Unless you are uh, chasing money, you are not ambitious enough. And therefore, it's one single track definition. But I think also this is a beautiful part of entrepreneurial life, is that you do redefine those terms with your own values once you work out who you are. And there are so many more aspects to success and ambition. I think they are not I'm all those things. Like I am very ambitious, and I'm ambitious to change the world. I'm also ambitious to reach a number of children that is, like, if you ask me, it's like I want to reach millions of kids and stuff like that. So they're all ambitious numbers, ambitious targets. But I already feel successful, even though it's a very different format of success than what I would have said 20 years ago. Because before I would have thought success just to have one shape, and now I realize success, there are a lot of successful stages to a business. And just the fact that you are over 10 years old as a business already make your business successful, because 80% of business don't survive the first 2 years.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
but I think
Mhm.
I think that work of realizing what is success for you and what is ambition for you, it's also a very important self work that people should do, because you can spend your whole life chasing the wrong thing.
Mhm. And then sometimes when you realize, it's like, well, it's never too late, but it can be a bit late.
It's true. No,
It's
you
never too
can.
late. You can always change. You can always have a change of heart. Absolutely. Yeah, but you have to, in my opinion, you have to think and through every step of the way,
Yes,
and
because you
don't
might
take
spend.
it lightly.
Yes.
So every decision you make is important, whether it's a success or it's a failure. But you need to think things through.
Yes, I agree. I think that I'm reading a book about Stoic philosophy,
Mhm.
that it says that one of the secrets of a good life, in if you're applying the Stoic philosophy to it, is that you have to always take time to look, uh, step out of your life and look in, and assess if you are happy or not, if your decisions are good or not. So you are always aware that of the good things, and also that things might change and that nothing lasts forever. And I think I do that a lot. Every year I look at the year and I do an analysis of what I like and what I didn't like, what were the good super. I do keep in touch with myself in that way, and I think that's important. Because yes, yeah, I would hate for it to have done something for 10 years and realize I didn't care about it, or that I was not happy about what, because it's a big part of our lives.
Yeah.
I
And
put
you're
so many
entitled to change your mind. You're absolutely entitled
absolutely.
to change your mind at whatever stage you are.
Yeah, yeah, it's
But I
never.
think it's important to be aligned.
I agree. I agree, because I think
Perfect.
I think life, it, it, it's a thing that a life, we only have one life, so you want to live it the best you can. But I agree with you, there is no right and wrong, and there is no wasted life, because every day we are making choices. We are choosing to go or not go somewhere, uh, call or not call someone. So every day we have the possibility of an changing.
Hmm.
So they're always gonna, and I don't think there is a better life than, you wouldn't know if another life would have been better than the one you chose. So I never look back. I'm not very nostalgic in that way, but I always look forward. Like, do I want to be doing this next year? Do I want to be doing that next month? I think forward a lot. I don't necessarily think about regrets.
I think we've covered like a lot of the topics I was planning on asking you, but out of curiosity and just as a closure idea, what fictional character would you represent yourself?
Oh my God. That's the one I had not planned. Oh my God. Let me
That's
think.
why I asked.
That's a hard
That
one
was
because
not on the list.
there are so many stories that I like. Oh my God. That's a
I
hard.
was wondering myself as well. I was trying to make myself like the same story. I've always been in love with Dopey.
Oh yes.
It's just
Yeah.
like I've always loved Dopey. Also, I always loved Brave.
Yes. Phew,
Peter Pan represents me a lot as well. Not
yeah.
Tinkerbell, Peter Pan.
I like it. I did like Alice in Wonderland. I liked Alice just for that sheer curiosity
Yeah.
of going to that world and making questions and challenging things. I did like Dorothy in Wizard of Oz
Mm.
for on that idea. I like it when she goes on the quest with the friends and how human she is. But there are way too many characters. We have a section in Storytime that we do real life stories of people before they were famous, when they found their true calling in life to become someone famous. So we don't tell who the person is. And I've loved discovering a lot of female uh, characters or real people that have changed the world that I never heard. I mean, people can be so many of them, but like there is oh my God, I forgot her name now. Frida Kahlo, for example.
Oh
When
yeah.
I had, because I read the biographies so we can write their story on their childhood. I really like real life. I mean, as much as I love stories as well, as I say, life is made of stories. One of the sentences, the way I use my sentence on Instagram as I define myself is like, we are made of stories. And
Absolutely.
ultimately, I love real life stories as much as I like fiction, because it shows how incredible we are as humans. And every time I read a story of someone that really like Frida Kahlo, for example, that when I imagine how creative she was in the amount of pain that she must have been feeling, and then she could paint those amazing paintings. And I think, what, like, I really, I cannot even imagine how it was. And then I realized how amazing we all are. And when we make those stories into a story for kids in story time, they fit with all the magical characters, because we called that strand awesome adventures. And the idea is, life is the most awesome adventure of all. And I really believe that I look at those stories and I look at life, and I feel so in love with life. Like, I think one of the things someone asked, what did we want to sell? And I said, when you create story time, I wanted to sell wonder. I wanted to give kids wonder and possibilities and dreams, because I think that's how I look at life. So as a character, I think we are all characters in an amazing story, and I'm constantly finding new ones. But I fall in love with so many different characters every time. There was a Turkish tale, for example, it's not even that famous, that we did, of a girl that had no fear. She did not know the fear, the feeling of fear. I just loved it. I was totally in love with her. So I fall in love a lot.
Yeah, no, I mean, love and passion is should be what really enlightens all.
Yes.
No, but we are in a moment of like a lot of darkness. So
Yes.
a bit of light and a bit of love and a bit of creativity and a little bit of imagination, it's so much needed. So
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. It's been a real pleasure talking to you.
Same.
So nice. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Huge pleasure and so nice to meet you. And if you ever need anything, just reach out. As we
Okay.
spoke about networking, just
Yeah,
reach out and ask.
absolutely. Absolutely. I will. Thank you.
Have a lovely weekend.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it now.